Hey everybody, welcome back to the finals of the Call of Duty Challengers Cup, the first one here in Europe. If you're just joining us on the stream, my name's Nfinity. I'm joined by Proper for the grand final. Proper, it's been just an insane day of Call of Duty here in Europe, an insane 2 days, as a matter of fact. Of course, this tournament being a 2-day tournament. It's come down to just our final two teams, though, in House Tarth and Team Singularity, and the latter has just reset the bracket with a 3-0 clean sweep.
Yeah, 250 to 216, a very competitive Moscow hardpoint, 6-3 Moscow search and destroy, and then a amazing control on offense and defense alike in that final round where Singularity were able to win 3-1 on Moscow control. Absolutely amazing to see. So ahead of the second best of 5, probably some hard bans and vetoes, especially going towards that Moscow side of things, as we will be starting off on Cartel for our opening hardpoint here. Miami Search and Destroy will be the second map. Checkmate will be the third map for control. And if need be, 4 maps, 4 and 5 will be Crossroads Strike and then Moscow. They couldn't get away from it entirely.
We actually see a Cartel hardpoint earlier on from Singularity. Let's see if they can pull off the same kind of success here. If they do so, going 1-0 up, it would be a 4-0 map count against these guys here in the grand final with that 3-0 from the last best of 5. Let's see if they can do it again. This has been a reset of the bracket. Has it been a reset of the minds here for House Tarth? That's really the question for me.
Yeah, it'll be a great showcasing of just competitive mindset as a whole. If these 4 players, again, have been going through the ringer as far as their Modern Warfare careers as well. I mean, there are no, you can't bat an eyelash at the careers that Afro, Defrag, Gismo, and Peatie all had throughout the Modern Warfare year. So they definitely know that they got to wipe the sweat off the top of their brows. They got to head in towards this Cartel hardpoint with a clean slate. But off the get-go here, just holding on towards the east side of the map is truly the name of the game. Is currently in control of none other than House Tarth. We're in a great spot, not only to try to keep P1 scrappy, but to get control of this entirety of the warehouse and set themselves up for P2, where they could get a decent amount of time.
Yeah, this is great rotation coming out of House Tarth here. Looking for this rotation over towards the Sheds hardpoint. Got it for now. Unfortunately for House Tarth, I think one player did actually just spawn out over towards Garage, and that's going to be Gismo. So Defrag and Co. going to have to win a few gunfights inside this hardpoint just to save it for now until Gismo comes to save the day. And there it is, picks up 2, but unfortunately for a Gismo, Bidz has 2 right back in. And House Tarth, while they did have control, that control seems to have disappeared.
Yep, it certainly did. I mean, you get an offset spawn coming on through. It's pretty easy to get a little pinch coming on out. The power positions from the warehouse got immediately shrugged off. Now P2 is turning into a very scrappy warfare. Just pinstripe kill feed on top of pinstripe kill feed. Just a few seconds here and a few seconds there, as we are just now looking at the back end of about 20 seconds. You can see all the blue arrows on the mini-map too. They're more than understanding this. They're heading towards the north side of the map, where you're going to have players up in the top tower. You can also have players just in and around these rocks as well, Brodie, and they can get the initial time on P3. But the bigger question is, how long are you going to be able to hold on to these positions, and how much time are you going to be able to find on P3?
Yeah, I think that's the big question here. P3, you don't often actually find that much time on this hard point, so if they do, it'll be pretty good. One thing that is definitely going to help them in this scenario is Pete sitting in that tower with that Krig 6. If he continues to damage, it's just going to turn the attention of this roster away from him, and that's really, really well played here from House Tarth. They get all these kills necessary. Again, P just continues to be a thorn in the for this roster, and there it is now. Controlling this hardpoint is House Tarth. And the thing is here as well for House Tarth, right, is if they get this time, they also get the spawns for this next hardpoint, and they're currently in control of them. That isn't changing anytime soon. I think that's what Maple is going to go and try change now.
Looking to at least try to do that. Maple will be met by immediate resistance. It's all of just House Tarth are now making their focus, and the rotation will be there for P4. They're moving in such a wonderful fashion as far as rotations are concerned here, Brodie, and in a great spot to be able to string together a decent amount of time off of P3. This is a very competitive hardpoint between these two teams. In towards P4 we go. It'll be Afro to be able to get the initial time. But it's all about these power positions, and you're going to have players in and around of the shed itself. Is any of you going to read that player number 7 of Denza has worked their way through the backside? The answer will be yes, as Defrag does take them down. Good kills are coming out from Singularity, but it's not enough to be able to break inside the stronghold. The spawns are so close for a House Tarth that they can always reinforce this hill. Singularity are starting to reel themselves. Just about 30 seconds left inside of P4 before we move over towards the big and final hill inside of that warehouse. they're able to keep the scrappy and maybe keep it contested for a decent amount of time, could be in a good spot to try to take the lead off the first set of hills.
Yep, they could indeed here, as you're going to see House Tarth try to break their way in. They do exactly that here. They've got themselves a nice cushion of an advantage, about 50 points over their opposition. And if you're Singularity, you just give up that time. You do not bother pushing for that. You've got spawns for that hangar hard point. And we've seen hangar in the past be this sort of hard point where you can easily break your way back into this game. And this is Singularity in a position where they need exactly that. They've got the cover from the mid-map in Maple. Denza lands a nade right at the feet of Defrag. And while Pete is able to pick up one kill, this is all hangar here for this Singularity side. Because they're now in control. Maple comes in, who's got his Krig 6. He's been so successful with it in this series thus far. Denza and Detain also there for the support kills. And these first few kills, Andy, it's going the way of Singularity. They're doing a great job so far.
Yeah, absolutely will. Yeah, they absolutely are. I mean, smokes are definitely coming into a play here in the front side of the hangar. Now it's truly just coming down from the west side of it all as far as an entry is concerned. One more player through the north side of the hangar will be Defrag. They're going to be dealt with off of the pinch now that Detain has spawned over towards the west side of the hangar. So as we are done here with the first set of hills, it's going to be a pretty good lead, and I say just narrowly that, just because of how scrappy Cartel can be within a nutshell. So it's just going to be a lead just narrowly in the favor for House Tarth for the time being. But again, the name of the game in towards the second set of hills is not only to keep P1 scrappy, but you want to try to hold on towards the east side of the entirety of the map, Brodie, so that way you can make a big amount of time going towards your bank for P2 and find an east rotation over towards 3. But look at the setup that House Tarth currently sit at. You got a player around the tower side. You also got a player down towards the north side as well. Are looking at these strong positions, but off the respawn come Maple and co. They're able to find a decent amount of kills to break in towards the shrubbery here of P1. Now be able to keep it contested, they absolutely need this.
Yeah, absolutely. That tower position, man, is so hard to break from. It's consistent, I feel, from House Tarth. They've got a player in there. Gismo continuing to be in a thorn in the backside for this Singularity roster. They just cannot get rid of him. Now, the one good thing for Singularity here is even though they still haven't really been able to get rid of that 40 to 50 point advantage that House Tarth seem to have maintained for the entirety of this game thus far, they do have spawns for new, and I think this is an opportunity for them to really come out and get a solid hold here. But they need to get these first few wave of gunfights in their favor. They also need to be careful of a player coming from the flank. See Gismo on the minimap. Peatie on your screens, though, doesn't need that flank from Gismo to be successful. He ends up doing it all himself, and it's going to be a break-in from House Tarth. Beautifully played.
Yeah, and they're reading the spawns wonderfully from Singularity, are respawning in towards the east side of the map entirely, and with all of this pinstripe kill feed is still going to be good for House Tarth. They're able to keep themselves on this hill, and now they have to read the spawns coming through the hangar side now through the center of the map, and they do read it wonderfully. Just look at the arrows just shift on the mini-map, looking east and now west. They're able to find a multitude of kills as they're trying to move their way in from the hangar. The kills are going to be decent enough, but the time's about to be coming in towards a question when you got to start rotating up towards P3. Just about 10 seconds left here inside of P3, Brodie. And the kills towards the center of the map have now swung in the favor for Singularity. They're going to get the rotation over towards new, and it's just going to have to be a powerful of a setup. But the foot race is about to be on here. P3 has come to light, but so far the kills starting to look pretty good for House Tarth.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised that you see in this Singularity roster, I'm very surprised that they haven't got Maple right now sitting in that tower. I'm extremely surprised that that hasn't happened yet. Maple instead is sitting in the mid-map, and I think he's just jumped into the tower. So that power position now has been enabled by Singularity. They can get a lot of time off the back of this hill, but Maple is key. He needs to stay alive here, and he needs to do a good job of providing fire cover. It's not happening. He dies straight away. Singularity's still in this hard point, but that will enable a couple of House Tarth players to make their way through and cause some havoc inside this Rocks Hill. And there it is, Defrag slides in from the back. House Tarth find their way in yet again, and it's just this same story over and over again, where this Singularity roster just cannot get a lot of time off any hill in this game, it would feel.
Yeah, even when they do get the initial setup and they are able to win out on the rotation, Brodie, you're absolutely right in saying that they're unable to keep themselves inside of that hill for a decent amount of time. Now we move over towards P4, where they will be there again for the initial time, but how long are you going to be able to hold this off? And you got to try to read the positioning as a whole from where House Tarth they're hitting from. 2 kills do come the way. Detain and Denza do double on up. Afro is the only one that shows up. Maple doubles on down, and they're going to be able to now read the spawns are coming in from the northwest side of the map from House Tarth. This is turning into quite an amount of time. That Singularity are starting to stack up here, and they absolutely needed to make themselves a comeback and keep this in competitive hardpoint fashion.
Yep, this is the question we've been asking essentially all hardpoint long, right, Andy? It's whether or not Singularity can come back and... Oh, Maple, man, he is just insane when he needs to be. Gets 2 kills with that pistol, I'm telling you. It's basically a primary weapon in this game with how powerful that pistol can be. But the question we were asking is, can Singularity just close this gap? Can they get back into this game and tie it up? The answer seems to be no for now, as once again, you do see House Tarth in control of the garage hardpoint for the last few seconds of time, but the lead repeated down to 37 seconds now. Singularity in control of Hangar.
They absolutely are, and they need to make this another money hill to be able to eclipse past 200 points and really start denting as far as the lead that House Tarth are currently holding over top of them. But these kills over by the sheds, Brodie, are going to start looking good, as kills are also coming through the west side of the hangar as well. It's going to be a pinch. Last player standing inside the hill will be Maple. They can only do so much. They will be cut down. And now in control, the break is good for House Tarth. They're going to be looking towards the east side there, reading the spawns wonderfully of where Singularity are coming from. It's just about holding on towards the kills, so that way they can put themselves truly in the driver's seat to close that map number 1 in the second best of 5.
Oh, Afro, man, just keeps on pulling together these clips. He gets 2 kills there. Unfortunately, he does get taken down by Denza, so not great here for a House Tarth, but they are 37 points shy of taking victory. 27 points shy of taking victory, sorry, as we go into this third and final set of rotations. We go over to the upper top area for P1. It is House Tarth in control for now. Keep an eye on that watchtower, though. That's where Gismo is causing havoc for Singularity on the last rotation here. It's what he wants to do again. Instead, I believe it's peek inside now, that watchtower, and look at these spawns now for Singularity. They're spawning all the way out towards Garage. This is not good whatsoever for them, but they do break into the hard point regardless. They know there's still a lot of time here, but the back of both teams' minds is going to be that rotation towards sheds.
They're going to be jostling for this position against spawns all over the place, but as far as reinforcing the point, it will be in the favor for House Tarth. As soon as I say that, you got Maple coming back into the mix, has a nasty heady, swaps to the 1911, won't be able to gun down Gismo with their AR in tow. So now, as Bidz works their way back into things, is able to find 2. Denza's also back into the mix, but Afro off the respawn finds 2 themselves at 33 and 25, 34 and 29 for Peatie, and a great spot to try to close it out here on P1. You gotta try to keep this hill contested if you are Singularity, but it's easier said than done as they're still spawning over by P2. You just gotta try to keep it contested for a little while longer. They're unable to do so, and because of that, it will be House Tarth that are able to close it out 250 to 204.
Wow, just wow, man. I mean, the closing moments of that game, you felt like maybe there was going to be a rotation coming in from Singularity. You felt like they were really relying on just getting that contested time, and I'm telling you, there was not that much difference between those two players, right? I mean, between those two plays. Honestly, I think it was 2 seconds, really. That's all they needed to get to make sure they could rotate and have enough time to just finish it on. It doesn't happen. And that's so unfortunate there for Team Singularity. However, I will say one thing. It definitely felt like that Singularity there were just behind, I think, for basically the entire game. There was always this 40 to 50 point advantage that House Tarth were able to been able to manage and maintain, and unfortunately for this roster and in Singularity, they couldn't close that gap, and they tried a lot of times, but it felt like every time they went for an early rotation, they couldn't really hold it for more than 30 seconds.
Yeah, again, that lead in the first set of hills, and even through the second set as well, Brodie, we were hitting up this wonderfully throughout the entirety of Cartel Hardpoint, that even when Singularity were winning out in the rotations, they weren't necessarily Hardpoint for long. Maybe a hill here or there. P4 rings to come on true for the second set of hills, but they just couldn't end up getting the money hills that they were looking for, and every single time they got broken up, just continuously. House Tarth, always in a prime spot. They were always being able to find the kills. Peatie, just about 70 kills between the two of them combined, and that's more than enough pressure to be able to flip hard points convincingly if you're looking at this from House Tarth, who start the second best of 5 on a good foot.
Yep, absolutely. Really well played there from House Tarth. They're able to take map number 1 in a relatively convincing fashion, I would say. I think they did a really good job there of holding that advantage throughout the entire game. And it never really felt like Singularity were going to close it. I think, we were asking that question so many times. Is this the hill? Is this the hill? But every time it felt like Singularity were getting something in their favor, it was just a snapback and a half from House Tarth. And this is really what I think what we were missing in that first series, where it kind of felt like Singularity had come through and just came in with the momentum, I think was probably the key thing to note there. And it is probably important to speak about the fact that House Tarth have been sitting here cold for hours and on end, and all they'll have been playing is probably pubs and shooting bots. Maybe they'll have got a challenge or two. I don't know. But still, you know, in terms of actual competitive matchups in this tournament, House Tarth have been sitting there for a few hours for sure. So maybe a big reason why they weren't that great in the first series, but they've definitely come out swinging here in the second. Great team play from them to close out map number 1. But now, map number 2, Miami Search and Destroy. We do love it so.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And this is a map that we ended up, well, we didn't end up seeing, of course, from the broadcast perspective, because we're not casting over the Search and Destroy, again, to preserve the competitive integrity and the wants from the players and teams alike. This is a map mode combo that Team Singularity were able to take in a 6-3 fashion in the losers bracket side of things versus Bullfrog. So this is, again, a map and just a game mode altogether that I'm more than confident saying that Team Singularity as a whole are very comfortable on, because you do have the likes of Maple. The pistol, even from last season of Modern Warfare, was always finding a lot of value. The 1911 is all the more better inside Cold War, but also the value that Maple's able to find with the LW3 is about to ring on all the more truer as you move over towards Miami, because it is such a big map. All of that control from just the visitor center defensively or from that balcony side to look all across the center of the map over towards the garage side of things. The sniper is an absolute playground for them to be able to find those influential first bloods, if not being able to find picks for teams trying to rotate offense or defense alike. But expect a lot of hits that end up coming through towards the B side, over inside of the parking garage and in around that laundry van, just because a lot of teams are definitely a lot more comfortable in the decisive hit through top purple or through the north side of the parking garage to be able to take that site by storm. It is just so hard to be able to work your way from the tiki bar all the way across the beach side, just knowing that there could be a sniper lying in wait, or even just a Krig 6 hiding in towards the center of the map, able to stop that A push from happening. I have seen it happen a handful of times, Brodie, but more often than not, it's been a lot of B pushes for Miami Search and Destroy.
Yeah, and you talk about B, right? I mean, from the one Search and Destroy in Miami, we actually cast it earlier on. It was between the Rams and Team Singularity. It kind of felt like Team Singularity, they weren't checking all of their corners. You know, Journey was...
There's a lot of those on this map.
There is a lot of... right, and it did feel like they weren't checking their corners fully. It would seem if they can, you know, get that down in this map, they will be fine. But as you say, you know, there are a lot of corners, especially over towards that B site. There are a number of places you can just sit and hide in the shadows. I mean, that is the entire point of this map, I feel, right? If I remember correctly, that's what one of the developers said, is that this map was literally designed so that players could just hide in shadows and such out of the line of sight of their opponents. And for that reason, I wasn't like too keen on this map when it first came out. I think, you know, both you and I are agreeing that this is growing on us as the time goes on, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the Arcloft peak nature, and even Piccadilly too from the Modern Warfare. Wasn't the biggest fan of it at the beginning of the season, and I know a lot of people still didn't like Piccadilly. We talked about this before.
I don't like Piccadilly. You're wrong.
Well, no, that's what I just said, that you didn't like Piccadilly even towards the end of the season, but it grew on me as a whole. And I even put out a tweet about this yesterday too. Me and I hold Chip were joking about this, that if Piccadilly and Arcloft Peak from Modern Warfare had a very interesting deformed map baby, it would end up being Miami on Cold War. And that's exactly how it feels like it plays out. There's just so many nooks and crannies that you can end up hiding in. There's so many different corners, very dark corners at that here on Miami, but it's also just so big. The rotations from A to B, not exactly an easy one, that when you do look for those rotations to come through, you're probably only looking maybe about 20 to 30 seconds left on the clock. So teams got to be decisive within that nature. It does play out very close to how those two maps felt in the Modern Warfare season.
Well, that's one way to look at Miami Search Destroy. That's for sure.
The only way, I'm telling you.
A bit of a deformed baby between Arcloft Peak and Piccadilly from Modern Warfare. I don't think anyone will want to compare Miami to those maps. Keep an eye on the power position inside the balcony. I think that's going to be the key thing. You made a point of it already. It's just the fact that you can have an AR and a sniper up top. I believe the game is about to get underway, though. I can hear the game sound. We can't actually see the gameplay on our end. So we're going to shut our mouths and let you guys watch some Search and Destroy. Well, not watch some Search and Destroy, but see the scoreline. Whoa. Wow. Proper, you and I just sat here again in our virtual green room, soaking up everything, because we can see the search and destroy as it went on. My God. Wow.
I honestly thought there was a world where that goes 6-4 and Singularity are able to win it if Maple kills all three of those players. He pushed defensively with the 1911. That was close. That was a very competitive search and destroy. Maple did their absolute best. I mean, you did also have just a lot of help, of course, that ended up coming through. I mean, Detain was also there, just running amok through the center of the map. Also on offense alike, we saw a nice offensive push that was backed up by a lot of smokes, and they pushed right through the bottom side of the garage and through the early going. Singularity were in control, but you can only fool the House Tarth for so long before they start cleaning things up, and Peatie puts end up joining in the fronting of the ranks and just starts running all the way through Singularity's front line. Beautifully played.
Yeah, well, as our map set, folks, it's going to be the first two maps going the way of House Tarth. Singularity now need to reverse sweep here to take this first Challengers Cup. That is a huge task for them. And I just want to talk about that search and destroy for a moment, because, of course, you know, we say all this stuff knowing that you guys couldn't see the gameplay. Obviously, again, for those of you who don't know, we are not showing the gameplay in search and destroy. To respect the wishes of the players, they do not want plays and strats being shown, and we are respecting that. So that's why you didn't hear us cast over it and why you didn't get to see any gameplay. That being said, we did get to see some back here. Maple! How? I know snipers in this game are OP as hell, but like Maple with a sniper, man, it just... Name me a better duo.
Oh, wait. I will absolutely wait. Yeah, because
there isn't one.
Because it's not even just Maple and the boomstick. Maple just in the sniper loadout altogether, because the 1911 is a pocket SMG in the hands of Maple, but it's not going to have to be a reverse sweep, even after winning the first best of 5. This is the second here for Grand Finals. We move over towards checkmate control. This is another head scratcher as far as how do you string together offensive rounds. Player number 3 will be Denza, looking to make a dent in towards the spawns. Their adversaries of House Tarth, but they're going to be sought out. This was all while players off the respawn were trying to split the focus. You got a player over towards A and a player towards B. So off the respawns defensively, it seems that they want to get these players both off of both points. It's going to be a 3-1 split, and they're able to do so. So respawn's not too far out of the way quite yet, but just under a minute left to go for the offense of Singularity.
Speaking about how hard it is to get offenses on this map, well, Singularity actually did it versus the Rams. It was a key reason in losers round 3 where they were able to take that series over the Rams and make it to this very point in the tournament. Can they do it again here versus House Tarth, of course? Oh, Detain just snaps onto 2 players there. Defrag and Peatie going to force some progress potentially being made on Zone A, but as I say it, Gismo going to clean up shop and now going to reduce this progress down to 0, and this map is so hard to get anything going. It's very, very easy on the defense to just sit below the plane or in the plane and just overwatch all of these lines of sight.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and even when you do win out these fights defensively, then you're seeing exactly what's happening on the minimap right now. You can just fly in towards the spawn of the offense and just start whittling them down, and then it's just time that is just going to be escaping for Singularity. The checkmate, as far as a control map, this is a really hard one, right? I have seen offenses being able to string together a quick B zone and then the quick A zone, but as the game has been progressing and teams have been learning, it has been A over towards B, easier, of course, for the offensive team to repopulate the B zone, as it will be our first round defensively won for House Tarth, not skipping a beat after winning the previous 2 maps.
Well, it's a good start here from House Tarth. Remember, folks, this is the last series of the night, the last series of the first cup of the 2021 season. So regardless of what happens here, there's no more bracket resets to be had. If House Tarth win this map, they 3-0 the second best of 5. They become your first Challengers Cup champions. And what a start of the season that would be for this roster that looks so good on paper. Getting an offensive round will put them very, very close to achieving that goal here as they make their way over towards A. First 2 kills do go their way. Trades in their favor, and now Defrag on this point. Peatie also picking up 1, and this is the push you'd like to see from this House Tarth roster. Defrag pushes all the way up, needs to apply the pressure. You need to get ahead of the control point, really.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And as two players will defensively try to retake over towards B, there's still a ruckus being made by Defrag over by the A zone. Half towards the second tick of progress. Well, isolated 1v1 goes in the way of Denza, so they will shrug the players off of the A zone from House Tarth. But they're looking to reinforce themselves here, looking for plane control. 3 players down here defensively. Of course, that's going to be for Singularity. And now they have a very unique pinch from the side, but the gunfights don't go their way, Brodie. And that just means that you have House Tarth with the lay of the land to decide which zone that they want to push on through. But because they're losing a little bit of numbers, you're going to have player number 8 here in Gismo just fly forward. 4-2. It's going to be 3 for this life. They're up at 7-4, and now they're working in towards the spawns of Singularity.
Respawns remaining as well. You take a life count. This is quickly turning in the favor of House Tarth. Every single kill essentially is going their way. Finally, Maple puts a stop to the mayhem, but you got to ask the question as for how long. You've got Gismo in this spawn, just turning the attention really of Singularity away from the capturing that's going on towards A right now. And I do really like this from House Tarth, what they're doing. They're sending one player over towards the point to capture it. And when the player in front of them dies, they send that player who's already captured the point to go through and go for a spawn trap. It works very, very well. That's Afro right now, the furthest player forward for this roster. And he wins a crucial one-on-one versus Maple. I think A is about to be captured.
It absolutely will. So we're looking at a minute and 35 now in the bank for House Tarth to be able to take the B zone. But even just look at the respawns. Damn near double in the favor for House Tarth as they start shifting their focus towards the center of the map. They will lose numbers, but here comes that pest roll again. Now it's going to be Afro that is lingering on the other side of the plane. Here's the information from one. That's going to be Maple that does go down. So now Afro will hop back up towards the plane side and will continue to cause a ruckus and always just splitting the focus. Shot punch is going to be good to take down Detain. Afro on a 5 spree at about 11-5. It's truly just bringing the house down as far as it's concerned for Singularity on their defense.
Absolutely, you can see now the lives in favor well and truly here for House Tarth. They can make this work. 50 seconds on the clock here for Singularity. They just need to defend a couple of pushes, essentially flawlessly, and they'll be perfectly fine here. This game will be tied up at 1-1. It's a great start from Detain. He picks up 1. Denza follows up with a kill of his own, but Peatie in there. 4 respawns remaining versus 1 now. Still in favor of House Tarth. They are hunting down these players. Defrag, he tries for a flank. It doesn't work though. Bidz has other ideas.
Now no respawns remaining for Singularity. The 4 sitting players are all the respawns that they have left. The 2 respawns that are still remaining for House Tarth. And will Peatie taking down Bidz now leaves us in a 3v odd situation. Detain will get the trade on towards Defrag, but it may not matter. Peatie is dip, dive, ducking and dodging in between all these doorways. Locks down the shots through the side of the plane. Is going to be good just to leave Detain, the only player that is left alive for Singularity. 11 seconds left on the clock. It's going to try their best. They do find 1, but their position is going to be sought out from there on out. So 2 rounds in sequence, an offensive round, nevertheless, on checkmate control, goes in the way for House Tarth. This is not just map point, y'all. This is series and championship point for House Tarth in the second best of 5 after losing 3-0 in the first best of 5 series. The bracket got reset, and now House Tarth on the cusp of closing it the second best of 5 out in a 3-0 fashion.
It all comes down to this. Your backs are well and truly against the wall here. If you're Singularity, you're 2-0 down in control. You're 2-0 down in the series, and you're on an offensive side here for yourselves. All of the cards are stacked against you. What do you do in this scenario? Well, you've got to win, that's for sure. At this point, Singularity, you need a flawless break off the start here. Can they make it happen as they make their way straight towards A? Not going to win that first gunfight. Peatie draws first blood here. But actually, to be fair to Singularity, I was about to say they might have some semblance of A control. But Afro and Defrag put a stop to that before it even gets anywhere.
And I like this call from Defrag. You find the kill over towards the A zone. You start flying through the yellow cargo container. It is now going to commit towards this flank. Not met by immediate resistance. And then you also got Gismo on the bottom side of the map causing their own sense of ruckus. Defrag is still here, by the way, but nice shots come through from Denza. Will smoke Defrag and put to rest any sort of hopes of a spawn trap. And now this could be the opportunity to try to push towards A, but it's just one lone player. That was Detain over towards the A zone. Reinforcements are there defensively. And now we're shifting our focus over towards the B zone. But this is split. all up on the north and south side of the map for Singularity. They got to try to regroup and try to get a full frontal assault over towards a single zone to get a handful of kills in their favor before they can commit towards the zone, and then you can start committing a player to be that pass to try to spawn cap a handful of players. We saw that happen from House Tarth's previous offense. It needs to come through from Singularity. A decent amount of kills come through. The 3-for-1 trade, but Defrag off the respawn is able to take down Bidz, and now it's just 2 players left alive here on B for the first tick of progress. Only 25 seconds left in the clock here, Brodie.
25 seconds left on the clock. That's not a lot of time to make this work. Singularity, they need a flawless push here. They need a flawless hold of that B zone. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen. They do get some kills in their favor, but they end up abandoning it to go towards A. That might turn out to be the right decision here, but you need control of the play. If you don't have that, you don't have control of the map, and that's really the biggest problem here. For Singularity, the kills all going in their favor. Detain has to go off on this point. I don't know if he will. He is going to fall now. The Singularity players are spawning all the way at the back of the map. Just 9 seconds left in this game. They have one more push left in them. Afro on this plane trying to say no. Defrag picks up 3 kills to close it out. And House Tarth are going to be your Challengers Cup 1 champions here in Europe. The first cup is theirs, and a 3-0 to boot here in our second best of 5 versus Team Singularity. What a performance on the control. Individual plays across the board from the House Tarth team. A well-deserved victory.
We didn't even see it because we weren't showing the search and destroy as well, but they were also down. I believe it was at a 5-4 line. They were able to close out 2 rounds in sequence of each other in the search and destroy to put themselves up on series point, and then they're able to close out checkmate control of all control maps to win an offensive round. Just so flawless, clean play, clinical coming out from House Tarth in the second best of 5. After losing the first best of 5, the bracket got reset by Team Singularity. House Tarth absolutely denies Singularity's hopes of being Challengers Cup #1 champions here for Europe. Again, I mean, Afro, Defrag, Gismo, and Peatie, they all worked so hard for this across the entirety of the weekend, Brodie. This is mad props over towards them. Singularity are no they play through a lot of strong teams, making it to map 5 more often than not across the entirety of the weekend themselves to find themselves here. But they're going to come up short and finalize here at second place.
Yeah, absolutely. Really well played from House Tarth as well, right? You cannot stress enough the fact that they were 3-0'd in that first best of 5.
Yep.
And albeit at this level, you don't expect really to see the heads gone at that point in time. It is going to throw you for a little bit of a loop until you at least land with your feet on the ground. And that's exactly what House Tarth did. So really well played from them to come back from being 3-0'd and then to 3-0 themselves. Really, really well played from them. Congratulations on them being your first Challengers Cup champions of the season. A great turnout for this debut of this roster. Again, you know, I've said it before. This is, I'd say, it's just a mixture of the perfect storm, if you will, of you've got this veteran talent with this new blood in Afro and Gismo, and it works so well. So, really well played there from House Tarth. And I do want to say as well, big shout out to Singularity. They came through the losers bracket. They won, I think, 4 matches in a row before getting to this point, of course, including that first best of 5 that we saw in the grand finals. They really did go through it this tournament. So second place, not that bad at all. And I don't think they'll be too disappointed with it as well, especially considering, again, they started from losers round 1. But that's going to be it for our first coverage here of the Challengers Cup. We'll be doing more of these across the season here in Europe and, of course, over in North America. And speaking about North America, there is actually a North American stream going on right now. I don't know where they're at in terms of bracket. I'm sure you're about to tell me, Andy, maybe?
So I've had it up for the time being. I believe that they are working their way through still winners bracket side, if I'm remembering. Yeah, they're working their way through West Rose and Baby Phase. They just previously saw Hire being able to take down Revenge Tour. That was a 3-0 fashion. That's impressive to say the least. But West Rose versus Baby Phase is on the board right now, where Baby Phase is currently over West Rose 2-0. West Rose is Parasite's team along with Neptune, Decimate, and Blast. So Paul X, Venom, Zaptius, and Tom Gravity are on their way to be able to close out that series. It's going in towards the 5th and final round on Control Moscow as we speak.
Well, that's going to be certainly an exciting series to hop into, guys. If you want to catch up with more Challengers coverage, we do have that North American stream going on at twitch.tv/iHoldShift. And I'm actually going to try and do a raid for all the viewers here to go across to that stream. So I'm going to try that very quickly now. Just want to say, though, before we end the stream, thank you to everyone for tuning in. It's been some incredible support over the last 2 days, and we hope to do more of these. For now, though, thank you to everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.